What's going on, everybody? King of the North here. Excuse me if I'm a little tired. I just woke up and I look kind of crazy. So, yeah. But anyway, so what we are going to do today, I'm going to go over a little bit more in depth about how to set up custom troops, troop trees, custom, caravans and their, armors, weapons, and stuff like that. Civilians, I mean, the whole nine yards. So, alright, for starters, as I mentioned before in the previous tutorial, um, every troop tree, I would say, is mainly located in your Sandbox Core folder right here, which is in your Mount Blade Modules Sandbox Core. Alright, so we're going to open that up again. And so we're going to take a quick look at this folder called SP Cultures. So we'll double click that. And again, I'm using Visual Studios, which is what I recommend. Okay, so for starters, so when it comes to every character in the game, every character has a culture. And more importantly, every culture has, one, at least one, version of the NPCs. So they have a basic troop, elite basic troop, your militia, your ranged militia, your elite militia troop, elite range, and all that fun stuff. All your villagers, the parties, everything, caravan masters, everything. You can change all of this. So, and pretty much what you see here when it says NPC, dot, you know, the character ID, that means that's an individual troop that you can actually change. So for instance, if I wanted, I think I have a good example here. Let me type in Lannister. Alright, perfect. So for the Lannister troops, and for the Lannister culture, or I think it's mainly for the Westerlands actually, um, I gave them for their basic troop, which is the troop that is going to be recruited from the villagers or the villages. I gave them the Vlandian recruit, which I changed what they look like to wear more like Westerland type armor. And for their elite basic, I gave them a Lannister house guard, which means that the way Bannerlord works is obviously you have your basic troop tree and you have like your noble troop tree. So the noble troop tree, I just pretty much just gave them the house guard instead of creating a whole entire another troop tree. But anyway, but for the elite basic and the basic troop trees, those I would say starting out, the elite basic um, has to be labeled as recruitable or a base troop, because that just tells the game that okay, this person can be recruited from a village. And same thing for the basic troop tree or the basic troop. And I'll show you a good example because I'm rambling right now. Alright, so type in Lannister. Alright, so here we go. So I changed to Vlandian recruit, I mentioned before. And it should be right here. So is basic troop true right there. And you can only do that for like when you're initially starting off a troop tree, which which the recruit is pretty much starting off. So if you do this for, if I took this, I was like, oh yeah, well I want the Vlandian footman to be, a basic troop. If I put this here, then the game would crash, unless I removed this from over here. So it needs to be at the very beginning of a troop tree. So we'll just back all this up. I could have just hit Control Z. I know. But anyway, alright, so see that? Alright, so with that being said, another cool thing, if you want to kind of expand your troop trees, kind of like how I did in the game, the Vlandian Recruit, when it comes down to their upgrade targets, you can literally change this to anything you guys want. And you can add as many things as you guys want. So, for instance, the Westerland Recruit, once they're ready to be leveled up, they can go to become a Vlandian Levy Crossbowman, footman, a Lannister fighter, Lannister archer, a Western fighter, a Western archer. And the way that actually looks in game, and I'll pull this up really quick. I'm gonna have to start the game. I'm trying to RTS camera. It seems pretty fun. All right. I'll show you guys how it looks real quick. Yeah, and the same thing kind of applies. How we mentioned before, how we have like multiple kind of equipment layouts. Yeah, you can change each of those to have different variances. So if I wanted the Lannisters, what is this? Lannister recruit to have, you know, a Westerling recruit to have, you know, maybe one set of guys have capes and cloaks. I can just add that line there. And so as a good example, I would take this line right here, drop this down, Control V, make it nice and pretty. Instead of leg, let's just put cape. And you can't just put anything you want in here all willy-nilly. You have to have like a, either it has to be a body slot, gloves, I believe it's body slot, body, gloves, leg, I think head is one of them. Let me see, yeah, head and cape. So a fully equipped NPC or character or troop has this right here. I'll make this look a little bit nicer. Has this head, cape, body, gloves, leg, just like that. And depending on what you want to change, you can replace the ID here, like we talked about in the previous video, and just change this to whatever different boots you have or you want to add based off what's in the items ID. So, like I mentioned before, I'll say it again to reiterate, but GOT Armory, if I wanted them to have, you know, what boots? Try to find some Lannister boots. Alright, so in the game, if I see that in the inventory, I see Lannister boots, V2, and I want them to wear this, then I would take this ID right here. Don't grab the mesh ID. Make sure you grab the item ID, which is right here. Just so you can see it a little bit clearer. Right here, land boots too. Control C. And I'm going to put this, instead of Ironborn boots, put this here. Which I think I needed to change this anyway, to be honest. And save that. And say if I wanted another variant, what I would do is I would copy, and I'm going to break this down a little bit more. So when it comes to, you know, it may look a little bit confusing when it comes to, you know, figuring out what to copy, what to not copy. The way you can kind of tell is, you know, what to grab. Okay, you start with the equipment roster, and it's an open bracket, there's nothing there, and then you get all your items, and you see the closed bracket right here. That shows that this is pretty much done. So what we want to do is pretty much grab this entire thing, copy it, hit space, and boom, just like that. We created a whole nother line just by doing that. And so that's how that works. But I don't want to do that. Okay, so let's go check out, take a second, continue game. I don't know what the heck I was doing. I probably need to turn the music off too because it's going to be loud as hell. Alright, so, with that being said, let's actually stay on here because we're going to check out the expansion of the troop trees like I was mentioning before. Like when I change music down before I get a copyright strike. Alright, there we go. Alright, so what were we talking about? Oh yeah, Lannicers. So, Westerland, I think the recruit. Cool, to fall into E. There we go. Okay, so like we saw before, we had the Westerlands recruit that upgraded to the Lannister troop tree, and they upgraded to the Western troop tree, which looks almost identical to the Lannisters. I need to change that. And then the Westerlands, let's see, Westerlands, yeah, and the Westerlands have their troop tree there, and they all kind of expand to each other. But yeah, so if you wanted, to create a custom troop tree, and you saw that there's another troop tree that looked pretty awesome too, and you wanted to have both, you can absolutely do that. Just find the ID for the troop that it would advance to make sure that they're still kind of on the same level, and add that ID to, where did I see it? Unless it's up. Oh yeah, here we go. It's right here. So say, for instance, if I wanted, House Rain to be on here, what I would find is, are they on here? Oh, if I spell it right. Damn it, George R. Martin. Yeah, George R. Martin, like, literally has the weirdest spelling for all of his, like, characters and everything. Rain has, like, 2 Y's, and Riker has 2 K's. John doesn't have an H, but Eddard has, like, 2 D's. Like, come on, man. Alright, so let's go with Royce. Alright, so that's actually, this is back up. So, if I wanted to add, the Royce troops to that same troop tree, I wouldn't add the recruit ID, I'd add the upgraded part. So right here, so if I wanted them to also jump into the Royce fighter, or Royce archer, I'd go back up here, do this, boom, make sure they're added in the upgrades, save that bad boy, come right here. What we're going to do is we're going to save, and now we just load right into it. Alright. All this stuff is pretty straightforward, guys, so it's, the second you kind of get the hang of it, you're going to be like, holy crap, I can do so much. And you can, because it's fun. Alright. So, just have my baby again. Fantastic. Another mouth to feed. And let's try this. Westerlands. Oh, Lend. Alright, go back to the recruit. Answers, Westerlands. And would you look at that? Look what we just did. We added a whole entire branch to this. So, when I have a Westerlands recruit, and I want to upgrade them, I can literally choose Royce if I wanted to. Just like that. Very simple. It's fun stuff. I told you guys already about how to add whatchamacallit, the troops to the, or add the custom weapons and armors and stuff like that to the troops. And so I'll briefly go over that one more time. So for instance, if I wanted the Lannisters, like say this Lannister guy, like, alright, yeah, he looks good. Where's it at? Westerlands. The recruit's up top. There it is. Alright, yeah, so say if I wanted this recruit to kind of wear something else. What I would do, and the way I do this, I mean, there's multiple ways to check this out and do it, but this is just the way I just want to do it, because it's simple. I know exactly, what's going to fit what. I can just go from there. But anyway, so open up your item ID, or your inventory. That way you can find the item names that you want to look up. So, let's search this by name, let's find some Lannister stuff. And I hate the Lannisters, so I don't know why I'm doing the, using the Lannisters as an example. But, maybe I'm being, whatchamacallit, my teammates are rubbing off on me, because half of those jokers love Lannisters. But anyway. Alright, so those boots look kind of cool. which I think we did change the boots, if you guys remember. Say I want them to wear something like a Westerland's recruit. I don't want them to wear too many extra things. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Even though I think this is actually pretty broken. Gotta fix that. Let's find a good cloak for them. This looks kind of sweet. So what if they got that? This is a recruit too, so let's keep that in mind. I'm just using this as an example, so whatever. Alright, so throwing that, and let's throw on... See, I like this because I edited this to actually have the kingdom color, whatever faction you are, which I'm going to show you guys that too, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I think that looks good, but I think this may be a little bit overpowered. Nah, it's not too bad. Yeah. Alright, let me find some gloves. That's not too decent. Oh, it's kind of decent. Let me see if it's a lot better. Yeah, I gotta go back and fix some of the clipping. It is not as easy as it looks, and I'll show you guys that eventually down the road when I start making more of these videos. Maybe these? Nah. Alright, let's go with these. Or maybe these. Oh, yeah. There we go. It's alright, not too bad with the clipping. Yeah. Alright, let's go with these. But it doesn't match the boots. You know, it's gotta match, man. Those are a little bit better. Let's just go with this. Okay. So, actually, I don't know. Outfit looks a little tight. Whoa, don't want those gloves. And keep in mind, guys, at least for our mod, not every single armor piece is gonna match with each other, because there are literally 1,000 armor pieces in this game that we added, or in the mod that we added. So we can't be perfect. I know some of you guys are like, but King, why not? There's clipping. Yeah, we'll go back and fix it later. Alright, so... See, that's even too much clipping for me. Let's see one as a good example. There should be some that are... like right here. Gloves. Hate it. Let's see... Well, let's just do this. I'll go with these gloves. That outfit's pretty sick, though. Maybe if I go with these, and then go with, like, brown boots. We can just do that for the time being. There we go, that works for now. It's just an example anyway. Alright, so now let's grab their equipment. And this is, you're just using this as like a reference. That way you know exactly what items to reference. So let's go with, Kingsguard sword? That's a little much for a recruit. You know what? Let's take it a step further. Let's actually create our own pre-set and pre-crafted sword. Yeah? So let's do that. So let's done. That way I kind of save his little the way he looks right now, his little outfit. Um, let's go here. And the way we're gonna do this is kind of the same way. We're gonna use everything in the game as like a reference. So let's go to the smithy for fine. Actually, forge. Sorry, I just woke up. All right, so we're gonna create a like Westerland's, you know, uh, recruit pre-crafted sword, and we're gonna have it to where it's gonna become like pretty much like an item in the game. So, for instance, a sword, right, has 4 parts. So what we're gonna do, so each of these parts have an ID, and so when it comes to like putting in weapons in the game and stuff like that, there is a crafting pieces XML file, and there is a crafting templates XML file, and then there's like an items file, which is where you put the finished product. So whenever I'm putting stuff in the game, I get my sword, break it up into 4 pieces, put those in the game, and I put the pieces in the pieces XML, and then I take those pieces and I put them under the specific crafting template that I want. So for instance, um, uh, let's see what we got here. Where did I put this? Yeah. Okay, so for my game, for our mod, there are the GTO, gosh, I'm tired, GOT crafting pieces, GOT crafting templates, and then the GOT weapons. So like I mentioned before, there's all my custom crafting pieces, the template that I specifically want them under, which is this right here, and I don't think I think there may be a way to fix this, but I just haven't taken the time to actually go through and have it say, Westeros or Westerland parts and weapons and all that nonsense. But there's my template right here, so you have a visual. Go to my template. GOT swords is what it's named. It has all the GOT crafting pieces, which is GOT crafting pieces. And these are all the pieces from the guards, all the way down to the blades, and go all the way down to the grips, and keep going all the way down to the pommels, just like that. Oh crap. Alright. So, anyway, so what we want to do is, let's see, is pick a blade. So this is the part where you can have some fun. That actually does not look bad, and that's a native piece, which I might actually use, not gonna lie. It's kind of basic, which is good. But our weapon parts and pieces are kind of overkill at the moment. Alright, so maybe we'll use this, but that's a blade, the guard. Let's see what guard we want to use. Something westerns. Maybe okay. Change the grip. And some of these I still need to go back and fix, but for the most part, they're pretty much fixed. Alright, there's a button down here to change, to hide and show your scabbard. Just let you guys know. Because, apparently some of my teammates, Mannerheim, he didn't realize that you can do that. Alright, so he's probably gonna kill me for calling him out. But anyway, alright, so we're gonna go with that's Stannis' handle, I believe, yeah. We could use some native parts, but, I mean, that's kind of cool, but it doesn't go with the scabbard, so let's change out the blade a little bit. I don't want to give them all Valyrian steel blades, as cool as that may be. Perfect. Kinda. Big ass scabbard. I think it'll be fine though. Even though I think it is a Valyrian steel sword. It's not bad. So let's actually go with this, and I'm gonna change out the guard to. Ooh, it's not too bad. Pretty decent. And let's change out the pommel. Yeah, let's go ahead and just throw a dragon pommel on there. It's a different kind of shade of gold. Ah, I know what I'm gonna go with. Maybe the lime. Maybe this one. A lot of these are still. Is that floating? Like floating to you guys? That one's on there, but it seems like it's floating a little bit still. Maybe it's on there just enough, but whatever, we'll go with it. Okay, so say if I wanted this sword to be in the game, right? I wanted to already be crafted and created in the inventory. That way I can just come, press I and grab it, and be a little cheater and just keep it right at the start. So what you're gonna do is we're gonna find these pieces and these item IDs, and we're gonna combine them in the weapons XML. Because like I said before, the weapons XML is actually the finished product, like the finished sword and what you'll see like in the inventory. So let's go to the weapons XML. And you guys are more than welcome and free to use our mod to just mess up whatever you want. Because worst case scenario, you can just reinstall the mod and it'll fix everything all nice and pretty. Okay, so GOT weapons. What we're going to do is scroll down to the bottom, which is what I always do whenever I'm adding a new part or piece. And I'm going to take this, and like I mentioned before, always look for where it starts and breaks. So the crafting items starts right here, and then you have the crafted item where it closes right here. So we're going to take this and copy it, hit space, boom. Now we have a template we can mess around with. So let's look at the, what is this right here? This is the blade is the Longclaw Blade V4. So we're going to look at our crafting pieces to find that specific piece, which I believe it's in Armory 2, but let's check. Longclaw Blade V4. Nope, yeah, it's right here. Okay, so this is the, close this out. So this, where it says name, this is what you're going to see in the game. But what we need is the actual ID right here. So I'm going to copy this ID, go to weapons, and replace it with this ID. Okay, you see it right here. It says blade, guard, handle, and pommel. Okay, and so in the crafting template right here just shows that, okay, this is a crafting template that these pieces are using. Or let's see, that way, because there's certain parameters that that are added to the template, like whenever you're crafting it, is the blade automatically going to be hidden, or can you use it as a one-hand or two-hand to switch, or the location of the holster, and where the actual sword actually sits on the character. All this stuff kind of goes into play, and even some of this stuff, this thrust and swing speed, the max value and all that. So you can play around with these as well. Be careful, but at the same time, it's not the end of the world if you break it, because that's how I learned, by just trial and error. But anyway, yeah, so where are we at? Okay, so the guard. Okay, so the guard we're actually using is called HB Knight Guard V3. So, and I believe that is actually in GOT Armory 2. Module data. Pieces. HB Guard V... What did I say, 2 or 3? 3. Alright. So boom. Wait, is it HB Night Guard? Yeah, Night Guard. Almost fucked up. There we go, HB Night Guard V3. Alright, so right here. So again, this is what it's going to show in the game. And this is the ID. And now the grip, which is the... What grip is this? Reaper Grip V4. Again, and the way you find these, I'm not sure if I mentioned, most of our weapons, parts, and pieces are in GOT Armory and GOT Armory 2. However, if you want to use a native item, you're going to go to Sandbox Core, Module Data, SP Items, and you should see weapons. Excuse me. That's going to be the finished part, like the native weapons. But if you want the actual pieces for the native weapons, I believe it's a native module data crafting pieces, I believe. Yes, they're all here, all the native parts and pieces. So you do the same thing, look up, you know, a native name, which their layout is just confusing. And this is the name that's going to pop up right here. And then you want this ID. So, it's just not too bad. It's actually not a bad setup. I'm just talking shit. Alright. So anyway, guard. Where were we? So that was in GOT Armory 2. Crafting pieces. That's native, right? No, it's ours. Alright, so here we go. Guard V... No, was it Reaper? Sorry guys, I have ADD, as you can tell probably. Alright, Reaper Grip V4. Like, I'm gonna turn like a 30-minute video into like a 4-hour video. Reaper Grip. Is it Grip? V4. Alright, so right here. And there is our name. And we want our ID. So let's take this ID. And then last but not least, pommel is the Kingslayer Pommel V4. Again, just because I know where we put everything, this is actually in the GOT Armory 2 folder. Which, you guys, it's either going to be one or two of those, so you guys can jump back and forth from GOT Armory and GOT Armory 2 and Native to find those crafting pieces in the module data folder. Alright, Kingslayer, what did I say, Pommel? Dude, this is why I don't do YouTube videos, like, I'm the worst. Pommel V4, alright. There we go. You want this ID. And boom. So now what we're going to do, now that we have our pieces all set up, we want to change the, give it its own custom ID. So this you can get creative. So I'm going to get very creative and do this. Test Sword 3. And another thing to keep in mind is whenever you're putting spaces, make sure you replace the spaces with underscores in the ID, but you can put spaces in whatever the hell you want in the actual name. And you can honestly get rid of this. This is for language translation, or you can keep it, which we need to keep all of ours because we're eventually going to get that kind of taken care of. We started kind of doing it with language translation, and it just one thing came after the other one with other stuff, and I got distracted. But anyway, that's beside the point. So anyway, so you can get rid of this, you can keep it, but if you want to keep things simple, you can just get rid of it for now for you. And this is the name that's going to pop up. So we want to change this to something crazy, exotic, and exciting. You sense the sarcasm? Yeah. Alright, so there we go. Test sword 3. We got test underscore sword 3 for our ID. And that is it. We want to save it. And what we're going to do, we're going to load into the game and see if we did it right. Wait, actually, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. What we're going to do first is go back, because this is about our troops. So, go back into the inventory, and you want to kind of do the same thing. Let's see, with this, like I mentioned before. 1 second. Sorry, the queen was texting me. She was actually calling me, but anyway. Okay, so what are we doing? Okay, yeah, so let's get a shield for this guy. And we do have custom Lannister shields and stuff like that, but I never really got the point of creating custom shields for the most part whenever the banners automatically pop up for each house and faction, so we're not going to do that. So let's put the shield here. We're going to give them the sword, which we'll add later, but we haven't reset it yet, but we can actually do that just so you guys can see it. And save. And go to it. And so, one thing to note, whenever you are changing, troops, troop outfits, troop trees, you do not have to start a new game for it to actually reflect in the game. You just need to like load your save or load a save, and it will automatically populate. Same thing for the weapons and armor. Unless you're actually adding it, into the game, then you have to shut down your old damn PC. Not the PC, but just the game. And so this is very easy to jump back and forth from, to test things out. It's really, really cool. So just load into a game, or save it and load into a game every time you're done. So let's jump into the inventory. And let's go to, let's see, 1 second. Alright, so let's find our sword. God, this is gonna be the worst YouTube video ever. Alright, so what did we name our sword? Test sword? Test sword 3? And boom, there it is, guys. We got it in. Look at that beauty. Just like that. It's already created in the game. Very simple, very fun, very easy. And so, yeah. Alright, so now, I think I showed you a little bit with the troops, but, so if we wanted to have our recruit look exactly like this, I'm going to break it down even further. Like I mentioned before, you're going to go to GOT Armory. Hang on, look at my coffee. Alright. And then GOT Items, I believe? Yeah. And we want to find these names. So, Lannister, Neckguard, Tack Cloaked. So I'm going to go here, in GOT Items, Control F. Lannister, is it Neckguard, one word? I think so. Neckguard. There's Neckguard. There we go. Tack, or Dash Cloaked, or Tack Cloaked. We can take this ID. There's a name. We want the ID. And put it on the Lannister recruit. So right here, so since we had cape there, we can just add this right here. And just for time's sake, I'm not going to go through and go through and change the items or change everything else because I'm looking at the IDs, and it's the exact same here. I literally took the name. Looks like this one actually has civilian gloves, but they have another version in the game, or in the actual troop trees. Um, yeah, I just looked at the boots, the gloves, the armor, even the horse and stuff like that if you want to. Um, if you're gonna have someone that has or add something to where they have a horse, like say if I wanted these recruits to have freaking horses starting out, all I have to do is go to, I'll find a good example. Where's the cavalry? Or cavalry? Keep scrolling. It's a little wonky and funky, but this is what you do when you have like horses and stuff. So, good lord. Okay, Squire. Alright, so the way they have their setup is, um, actually I hate the way that Bannerlord did that. We're actually gonna come to ours. So I just searched Lannister. Alright, so Lannister Lancers. There we go. Alright, so this is obviously a... It's the same thing applies. So, now I mentioned before how you have like, item 0, item 1, item 2, and you have item 3, I believe, because there are 4 slots. So this counts as like 0, 1, 2, and 3. The horse armor kind of falls under the same category. So you can just add, if you want to add a horse, you type in horse right here, and then the item ID, make sure you grab the horse, which it makes it very, very simple. If you go to the, what is it, sandbox core folder, module data, SP items, every single item ID in the game is all going to be located in this folder. So you just have to find what you're looking for. If I'm looking for, for instance, the Sturgeon Trotter, because this is the name that's actually in-game. So if I search it in the file, it's going to give me the ID and it's tied to it. So if I want to go to horse, oh yeah, horses and others, type in Sturgeon Trotter, boom, it pops up. Sturgeon Trotter right there. And that's for the tournaments and stuff, but it's here as well, Sturgeon Trotter, and this is the ID. So I would take this, if I wanted this really, which I don't, but just for tutorial's sake, come back here to the SP NPC characters, and replace it right here with this ID. Boom, just like that. And same thing for the horse armors, and it's all in those folders, so you guys can just use your big brains and try to find those. But yeah, so what we're going to do is, let's see if my Lannister troops will save. So I added a cloak, which is kind of cool. So, like I said, I'm going to take this, I'm going to apply it to all of them, just to be consistent. And what I'm going to do as well is add our sword. And so we know we had, it's called test sword 3, I believe, and I put it in the item 0 slot because it's just the first spot where I want to put it, but you can honestly put it anywhere. But just so the troops know what to primarily grab, make sure you put that here. But if you want them to have a spear, you can put that here. But it's completely up to you. So the world is your oyster. Go crazy. Alright. That looks good. I think we got it. Cape, cape, cape. Added items. I'm just making this look nice and pretty. This doesn't do anything. But it's a good habit to start, That way it's consistent. Okay, so I think we're good to go. So I'm gonna save it. Okay, blah blah. Alright. Sorry, I just love triple double decker checking. So I was gonna save. Saving it does not do anything at all whatsoever. I'm just weird like that. So you don't have to save, you can literally just hit load after you do something. Just load into a random game. But preferably the last thing you whatchamacallit, you did. Alright, screaming baby. Alright, so let's check this out. See how we did. See if I am as good of a teacher as I think I am. I'm just kidding, I'm a clown. Alright, so let's check Westerlands, right? Westerland recruit. And boom, guys, look at that. They have our cloak that we wanted. They have our new sword. I think I done did good. And there's a sword right there. You can also check right here to see, make sure they have the right parts. So the test sword, the shield we didn't change, the outfit is about the same, armor gloves. Yeah, we literally picked this up still. But we just added the neck guard and the sword. So yeah, guys, that's how you do it. Go crazy, flip stuff around, break stuff. If you have any questions, just come to our Discord and head to the, I think it's called the Modding Chat channel. It's brand new, but you guys need to learn the basics because some of you motherfuckers wanted to learn maps. I get that. It's my fault. I put maps up there, but I will show you how to create a map. But let's get the basics down that we can get a feel for Bannerlord, how the IDs work, how things are kind of connected, especially when it comes to the cultures. Because now if I wanted to, I can take any one of these troops and their IDs, and I can put it in, let's see, did I have the cultures template up already? So if I wanted to, I can take the Lannister Guard, and I can make that troop my Caravan Master. Or I can just edit my Caravan Master. I can just do that, and now my Caravan Master is going to look like a Lannister Guard. They're going to use that ID. So you can flop these around, edit them, and where these are located, the Caravan Master, Arm Trader, Caravan Guard, even some of the bandits, they're all going to be in, let's see, some are going to be in, I think they're actually all in Sandbox. So don't confuse Sandbox and Sandbox Core, but usually you just have to understand what is in what. So, Sandbox, module data, and sort this by name. So the bandits, all the bandit IDs are here and what they look like. Here's a looter, and here's what the looters actually are wearing and all that. So you can change out all of these. So I know you guys are like, King, the bandits are overpowered. Well, there you go. You guys can change them now if you want to. Here's all the IDs that they're using for all the items and weapons. Caravans are located in, is it in this one? Yeah. The caravan leader, for each culture. As you see, each culture has a, you have to make sure that they have the, actually I don't think this matters, but they are going to have, if they have a specific culture, make sure you put that culture there. And then for the, that's for caravans. And for the other characters like your NPCs, like the villagers and all that, it should be in your SP cultures as well. You just have to hit like Control F, villager, well, if I can spell it right, village. Your bodyguards, your gang leaders, it's all in SP characters. So go crazy and assign their ID to the specific culture that you want. But for wanderers and NPCs that can be companions, I believe they're in here, which I wouldn't mess around with that too much yet. Let me break that down a little bit more later in another video. But yeah, just swap them in and out. but mainly what you can do for sure and be safe is like the bandits and every single troop and NPC that's in SP culture. It's like the broker, the ransom broker. If they're, you know, you want them to look a certain way when they're spawning in Essos, you can use, you know, this ID and just change them all out, and make sure you assign that ID right here to the culture that you want them to spawn in. Um, yeah, so everything is, it's all here. It's fun. So go crazy, have fun. I'm gonna go have some more coffee and wake up a little bit more, which I probably should have done before I started this video, but what the heck. Alright, King out. You guys take it easy.